we take a look at Windows 10 and really understanding the overview, we also have to take a look at where we are from a technology standpoint in today's time. And this is being recorded in the year 2015. And as we are looking at the capabilities, we're really seeing that the devices that are out there today give some very rich options of what we can do. They do so much more than they did years ago, and so now we have to take a look at getting the software and operating systems to start to create more features and more capabilities, and also make sure that everything can sync together. But from an IT standpoint, whenever we're looking at making that investment into a new technology or a new product or a software, we have to kind of take a look at where are we going to get the most bang for our buck. And usually the operating system isn't the first place that gets upgraded oftentimes, unless the additional apps won't be supported on it. So when we take a look at Windows 10, what it's really looking at is, can it fit into a business strategy? And will there be a tangible benefit? And the answer is yes. Then the customers are more likely, as I'm sure you'll find, is a business owner or someone as a business decision maker listening to this, investing in Windows 10. So as we take a look at the options of Windows 10, what this screen that we're seeing is really saying is that tablets are growing right now at a rate of 26% per year. Laptops are growing at a rate of 8% per year. And what are we going to do from an operating system perspective to match this technology to make sure, or these latest statistics, to make sure that an operating system can be available as something that's a tangible benefit and also fit into your business strategy? And that's where we start to take a look at how Windows 10 can really help us. So for example, one of the things that we start to see is that there's a trend that's pushing toward cloud service. And essentially what's happening is you have to have some cloud service in some way, shape, or form if you want to be able to get information across multiple devices. But then you also want to make sure that there's a security element that's in there too. So in other words, a lot of companies want to make sure that all the security and the protection and everything that's available is enterprise class, so that the largest governments and Fortune 500 companies are able to get some very secure ways of working. But of course, everyone also wants that at a shoestring budget price too, especially in the case of an operating system, because a lot of people don't see a lot of value and benefit to it. So when we talk on this next slide about Windows 10, we're really seeing here that with Windows 10 specifically, it's simple and easy to use, and it is tightly integrated with the cloud. So one of the things that you'll find is that if you're comfortable with Windows 7, because that's what you're currently working on, or you're working with Windows 8 or 8.1, you'll find that it's very easy to use from those platforms, because it has a familiar look and feel from Windows 7 of having a start button and being able to search. But then you get the benefit of some extra features like live tiles to make it easy for you to find programs that you use very easy and very frequently. The other thing too is that it does give that consistency across all devices, but you're going to see some affordable options that are going to be included in there too. So brand new devices, of course, always come out with operating systems that are launched from Microsoft. You're going to see some new ones that are going to change the way that you work, and then you're also going to see some very affordable ones. So I think you'll find that that's even going to be exciting news to see once those items become available later this year. And you'll be able to get a lot of different options without having to do a lot of setup and a lot of maintenance in order to get them. So the whole goal is to make sure that whatever you see is very easy to set up, that it doesn't take a lot of effort, and of course includes that security and the enterprise quality features in there, so that you have all of those great secure ways of being able to work throughout your day. Now, as we turn over to this next slide and talk about what the best platform is for modern business, what we're basically saying is that familiarity is there. In other words, it gives the ability of making sure that that start button and that way of working that you've been able to do since the Windows 7 days is carried through this life cycle of Windows 10. Excuse me. And you'll also be able to see that there's going to be some new integration, and that's going to include things like live tiles, for example, and Snap is going to expand. So in Windows 7, you had the ability to snap 2 screens side by side, and in this new version of 10, you'll have up to 4 items that you can snap side by side. The biggest thing, though, that I can tell you is that you'll have ways of working across every single device. So from the phone experience on up to the standard desktop, you'll have one way of being able to work. And I'll expand this slide out, but it's known as something at the bottom there called continuum. And that's basically giving us a understanding through the software to say, what device type is this? And based on the size of the screen, it will give you a full-fledged Windows feature so that you'll be able to work in your day, whether you're on a phone or a phablet or even on up to the desktop option there, for being able to see different ways of still getting the same information across your screen. The other thing that's great about this too is that all of the apps are always going to be included. So if you've ever been to the store with your phone to upgrade it and it was never backed up before, you then realize that all of your apps have to be downloaded onto the new device. So this is download once, available on all. So whether you're including a bring your own device policy or you've got something that is just strictly for the business users themselves that have those devices, it's a one size fits all on that. So it'll be very secure and give very easy ways of working. You'll also see on this slide that there's something that's listed there known as Cortana. Cortana was introduced initially as part of the Windows 8 phones, and now that technology is being included as part of this Windows 10 update. So to give you an idea, I do have my Windows phone here, and I've just pressed on Cortana, and I'm going to say, what's the weather like today?
The forecast shows sun with a high of 79 and a low of 48.
So you can tell it's summertime here, and you'll be able to do those kinds of things with Windows 10, but then you'll also be able to open up a new app like Word and be able to create a new document. And Cortana, through your voice command, can do all of those types of things. Along with Cortana is going to be an option of a new web browser known as Edge, and that will, and by the way, that was formerly known as Spartan, but this will give the option of being able to have some new features and capabilities available for web browsing as well. And that's going to give some great functionality when it comes to the future of web browsing. Now, as we continue on to this next slide, I mentioned before that we were looking at a way of being able to work across all devices. And now what you're seeing here is that it is built for agility, and we do have the ability to work, and you'll see examples of what that looks like on the screen here, but it's basically giving us ways of working and seeing that same type of screen across all of the devices. And I'll build this slide out so that you can see that regardless of what it is, Windows 10 is going to be built for a long battery life, that it's going to have some driving device innovation in there, which is really going to make the devices much better that already are out there that you may use and have, and then any new ones that are going to become available are going to have some new innovation to it as well. And basically it's the goal of making everything lighter, easier, stylish, fun, and great to be able to work with. So it's going to be very, very easy and inexpensive. So for example, there are some Windows PCs right now in the market today that are under $300, and that starts to make it very easy and very affordable for people who are looking for a PC device at all different price points. This next slide, we can talk a little bit about the device management and this setup. And the whole goal of this is that if you do have an existing PC that is already available to you, you can do an in-place upgrade without having to buy new hardware. So the specifications are going to be exactly the same for Windows 7, for example, and Windows 8. So you won't need any new hardware at all. It'll just be a matter of doing an in-place upgrade, and that will give you a very easy way to make sure that you can use everything the same way that you could before, just with a newer operating system. And what you're also going to find here too is that there's a compatibility bar. So in other words, Microsoft is going to know that everything that you used in Windows 7, for example, needs to be available when you're using Windows 10. So in other words, that printer that you've had for years is still going to work once you make this upgrade to this new operating system. So that helps us in making sure that all of that information is available. And you'll find that the updates are going to be very effortless as well. So even if you have mobile device management or patches that you need to roll out, that can all be configured to automatically roll out easily and be managed very easily, so that that light touch, so to speak, becomes very easy to IT and easy to someone that has a company that doesn't have an IT person in place. So that'll be very helpful too. And for those options that require a mobile device management, you don't have to purchase that from a third party. Once Windows 10 is in place, you'll actually be able to leverage it using Office 365, and Windows 10 will plug right into that so that you'll be able to get started right away. So really, really good things that we have to come when working with the setup and the management of these Windows 10 devices. Now, specifically for the SMB space, the whole goal is to make sure that you have an item that's very safe and very secure. And for example, there is Windows Defender and there's Smart Screen to try and assist with those kind of devices that will be available. App security, so if you do have special apps and special applications that need to be coveted, those are going to be available as part of Windows 10 for you, even at the SMB level, to try and assist you. And then you're also going to find that BitLocker has been upgraded. So it goes beyond just having one SKU of BitLocker, but to embed that information and to make your information more safe and more secure as we go into this next generation of Windows 10. There's a new solution, for example, that's going to address all the complexity and the cost challenges that people run into with a two-factor authentication solution. So now there'll be devices that already have one of the factors. So you can use your mobile phone, and even if it's an Android device or an iPhone, those will be able to authenticate through one of the devices. And you can alternatively use a biometric or a PIN too, and leverage that kind of technology as an authentication. So really good ways of being able to make sure that your data gets protected. And there's a full disk encryption option that's going to be available too. So if your device is lost or stolen, then you'll be able to activate BitLocker to go to protect your data when it's stored on removable drives, or you can use and leverage that full disk encryption so that if that device is stolen, no one is able to get into that data at all. So really good, great things to come in relationship to these SMB items. Specifically on this last one, for the enterprise data protection, I had mentioned BitLocker, but if you're trying to protect your users that leak data, there's something brand new that comes into play, and this is called it's called EDP, but it's Enterprise Data Protection, and that's going to give you file level encryption and basic rights management to those corporate files. So in other words, if it's a highly sensitive document, it can be locked down and that data can never be leaked. And that's really good news, especially for those Excel files that include sales contact information or general financial information, things like that. Those are sensitive documents you want to protect at all costs. So now with Windows 10, that enterprise data protection is built in. It is available for SMBs to take advantage of as part of that. As we take a look at this slide, we're really seeing that it's a repeat of what we had seen before, but the goal is that you have the ability to see everything in one place, and that no matter what device that you're working on, you get that same robust capability across every single device that you are planning on working with. So it really is giving you a way of being able to work one way across all devices with the exact same look and feel to make it very user-friendly and very easy no matter what device that particular employee is working on. So as we wrap up for Windows 10, the goal of Windows 10 really is to help people of action do great things. It is coming out at some point in July. As of this recording, an official launch date has not been mentioned, but what has been told publicly is that a free upgrade from Windows 7 and 8.1 will be available the first year. So as soon as the launch date from 1 year of that date, any business or any person that has Windows 7 or 8.1 Consumer or Pro will be able to make that upgrade absolutely for free, thanks to Microsoft providing a free upgrade for you on that software within the operating system to have you working on board with Windows 10. Now, in case you need more information, feel free to reach out to us at centerpointsolution.com and email us at info@centerpointsolution.com. And our personal goal at CenterPoint is to help you roadmap your future and maximize your technology investments.